Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai and author of the Book of Five Rings, possessed not only exceptional martial excellence, but also profound insights into the nature of life. One of the key philosophical concepts Musashi explored was impermanence, the idea that everything in existence is subject to change and transience. Though dedicated to unparalleled mastery, he knew clinging to transient things and situations only leads to suffering. By aligning himself with the reality of universal flow, Musashi attained profound tranquility in the face of life's constant changes. His wisdom provides a timeless lesson on freedom through non-attachment. In Buddhist thought, the source of human anguish is believing in the illusion of permanence. We mistakenly become attached to possessions, status, youth, relationships, and even our talents or capabilities, hoping they will last. But all conditioned things eventually fade and dissolve. Suffering arises from desperately grasping at things that are by nature short-lived. Musashi aligned with this diagnosis of humanity's existential issue. Through his travels and trials, he saw directly that chasing permanence is the genesis of distress. Even our powers, knowledge, and life itself are fleeting. By accepting universal impermanence and ceasing to cling, one can move through life with the flow and adaptability of water. Despite honing his skills relentlessly to reach the pinnacle of swordsmanship, Musashi acknowledged even his extraordinary abilities would inevitably decline one day. Reflexes slow and techniques deteriorate as the body ages. Strength wanes even for the greatest masters. Rather than desperately cling to his hard-won powers, Musashi advised calmly accepting this natural progression. As it is, my skill deteriorates daily. It must be despair for skilled men who are advancing in years to be separated from the path of strategy. While the impermanence of physical prowess may be unavoidable, Musashi showed that wisdom could continue growing even as one's techniques fade. In his later years, he developed pioneering strategies and philosophies, proving that knowledge also transforms over time. Each phase of life carries its own transient treasures. By avoiding anxious fixation on maintaining his peak skills, Musashi embodied non-attachment in action. He saw that particular techniques were but temporary vehicles for continuous self-cultivation, not lasting definitions of mastery. As a lifelong wandering hermit, Musashi chose not to be encumbered by material possessions. He knew worldly things quickly come and go, especially for one constantly on the move. During one duel, Musashi's only belongings, his swords, were buried in a field by his opponent to unsettle him. Yet he promptly defeated the man unarmed, flexibly adapting to the loss. Afterwards, Musashi reflected, "When I had no sword, it was a good time to apply technique." Having no possessions momentarily focused his mind and skills more intensely. By embracing utter impermanence, Musashi attained freedom of movement and mind. He recognized things provide merely temporary convenience, not lasting fulfillment. Clinging only burdens us. Musashi's lack of fixation allowed him to act with clarity unhindered by external conditions. With no spouse, descendants, or even a permanent residence, Musashi's only lasting human bonds were through shared dedication to the way itself, the path of mastery. He accepted the dissolution of relationships as inevitable. After long years of study together, Musashi was challenged to a duel by his most loyal student in order to test their final stages of learning. Upon losing, the student was shocked and asked, "What was the purpose of the years I spent with you?" Musashi replied simply, "It was for the sake of this moment." The culmination, not the continuity, contained the meaning. Musashi did not cling even to his closest alliances. In his stoic warrior pilgrimage, all relations were eventually left behind. By keeping his eyes fixed on the eternal way rather than any personality, Musashi's wisdom outlasted all connections. Despite his immense success and undefeated record, Musashi did not define himself by transient glory, titles, or fiefdoms. He knew that worldly achievements too would inevitably fade and be surpassed in time. Even the greatest masters age and lose their edge. Musashi sought ever greater heights not for ego gratification or public acclaim, but as spiritual sustenance to deepen his path. He remarked, "Be undefeated while you still have something to lose. But once you are the best, never fight again. The stakes can only go down." True masters recognize that victory contains the seed of its own demise. We cannot cling to accomplishments, only humbly begin again after each hard-won victory. Musashi embraced this endless cycle of mastery, attaining honor and humility in equal measure. By not clinging to transient status, Musashi focused on tireless self-cultivation rather than external validation. His sense of purpose arose from within, not without. After decades of facing death frequently in lethal duels, Musashi came to terms with his own mortality. In his final written work, he wrote simply, "I accept death. There is life and death in all things." Rather than deny or dread his impermanence, Musashi aligned himself with the natural arc of life and death. He did not fear dying, but lived each precious moment with focused purpose while still breathing. By wholly accepting impermanence in every changing facet of his existence, Musashi discovered an abiding tranquility and lightness of being. His equanimity sprang from harmonizing himself with the greater rhythms of life rather than pitting himself futilely against the grain of reality. Through the wisdom of Musashi, we learn that clinging to impermanent things is the root of anguish. His life and teachings demonstrate with matchless profundity the liberating power of non-attachment. By loosening our grip on the transient, skills, relations, glory, we gain fluidity and fearlessness. Musashi found freedom where we often find bondage, in life's unceasing flow. His shining lesson is to align ourselves with change and flow skillfully like a river. Therein we discover Musashi's enduring tranquility, at home with transience. Thank you for watching.